I know what my audience like. I did some independent films with Master P, and a lot of those movies did really well.
I'm ambitious, I'm a hustler. I have my own lane.
That's the thing about comedy. You wake up every day, you don't know if you're funny that day.
Our political strategist for today to talk about voting and talk about tonight's debates and some other things. Please welcome to the program, Chonya Marie. Good to see you.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Did I say it right?
You did.
Okay.
Great enunciation skills.
That's what's up. How you been?
I'm doing well. I'm excited. It's the season. You know, for me, because I'm a political, this is like my Super Bowl.
Yes.
Any election is a Super Bowl, is a game. It's like, let's see who's going to win this thing. So, yes, I am very excited to be here and all of that good stuff.
Now, before we get into why, just give a little bit of background. You refer to yourself as a political. What does that mean, and how did you get there?
Oh, my. How much time do we have? But how did I get?
Yeah, we got it.
We got a good time. So basically, I'll just tell you the reason why they call me a political, because I love all things politics.
Mm-hmm.
I subscribe to different party politics. It just depends on what's sort of going on. But I do have certain values that I hold based on a political party. So sometimes I'm a Democrat. I don't think I'm ever really a Republican, but I do identify with some of those values within that party. But I'll tend to be in the middle of being more independent in my thinking, because not everything the Democrats want to do I want to do and do I subscribe to. And so for that reason alone, most people call me political. And then I've written some books about how to be an advocate and how to run for office. And I've ran for office. So that puts me in the space of just being a political. You know, people want titles these days. And so being a political is like, oh, she's a political. They know they can come to you for information regarding politics. Right. Now, it has to be in the area in which you're interested in. And so that's kind of how you got there.
And you also, so you're author, but you also train people too.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So you train people. So if there's somebody say, hey, I want to run for a local election, I don't know much about it, you're the type of person that I will go to kind of.
Absolutely. I'm your go-to girl.
Okay. All right. So why are you so excited at tonight's debate and this season, this political climate, this season, knowing that all the craziness that we've been witnessing, you know, throughout the summer and up until this month?
I'm a hopeless political. I just believe that government works when we work within it. I have my Chucks because these are in honor of Kamala, you know, my red, white, and blue Chucks. So I'm super excited about that because I just believe that our government, when we look at the Constitution, when we look at what some other people, forefathers, wanted to do, but we are part of that process because of the Constitution, and we are citizens of these United States. I mean, it's our government. It's a government for the people, by the people. And so we have to be engaged. Even though we see what's going on at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, we still have to be involved and figure out how it is we can take back our government so that it represents all the people and not some of the people. And for that reason alone, I'm like, hey, we have an opportunity to knock it out of the park. Get him out of there. The way you get rid of elected officials that you're not satisfied with is you show up at the polls and you vote them out. And so we know that this president has done a huge disservice in our country. And so we need to do what we need to do, which is get out to vote. We need to be mobilizing our mamas, our cousin in them, and everybody else that we know, our neighbors, telling them, come on, do this for somebody else. If you can't do it for yourself, do it for the little black girl, little brown girl, little white girl, whoever. Just do it for somebody else because it matters that we know what we see at 1600. We would never, ever want no one in our family acting like that, especially our children.
And nobody in our family would be able to get away with it either.
Pep, and everything else, right?
All right. So I'm going to throw a little bit of pessimism your way. All right. So with everything, all the confusion that's happening, distractions, deflections, do you think that this mobilized voting effort is going to go the way that it's supposed to go?
I mean, the numbers don't lie. And mobilizing people requires a real good ground game. I have looked at some of the numbers as it relates to the Republicans. I just don't really believe he has the support. And this is from other top RNC officials. They're not blasting it. You know, that's not the news story, but they don't think he will win. But for us on the Democratic side and independents and everybody else in between, We gotta ensure that we get people out to the polls. And even if they don't get out to the polls, they can early vote. You can host ballot parties. There are things in which you can do, but it is going to be about the ground game and making sure we have done enough to really encourage enough people to get out the vote. And they have to, go and do it.
Yeah. What are some of the efforts that you're familiar with locally that are being done? Because I heard you mention on your live the other day, voter parties.
Yeah, ballot parties. Ballot parties is an initiative that I started probably about a month or so ago because people are like, oh, I don't know who to vote for. I was like, are y'all serious? Y'all using that bull crap as an excuse as to why you will not vote? Nonsense. So what I said is that if you have a trusted resource, Lamont, you could be a trusted resource within your family. Brandon Hayes on here, he could be a trusted resource in his family. The thing is it's you bringing together a group of your friends and family members to say, let's see who's on the ballot. And then you share with them who you're voting for. They get to decide, but you can give them some reasons why. I say 1, 2, 3 reasons why I vote for this one, this one, this one. And then people are like, oh, okay, well, let me do a little bit more research for myself. I'm not telling you who to vote for, but I'm telling you who I'm voting for, and then you get to decide. And so that is what the ballot parties is about. Just pull out the ballot for that state or for that district that you're in so you can see who's running. I also tell people the further you go down on the ballot, the more impact it has on your local community.
Explain that.
Okay, so when you're at the top of the ticket, you're thinking national. This is straight national politics. This is the president. This is your congressperson. This is your senator. Then you have your state. Your state people are still looking at issues throughout the state that impact you. But on the local level, this is your mayor who's going to talk about your taxes. This is your constable, your sheriff. It could be your, city council member who's changing ordinance about whether or not you can build a deck on the back of your house or change the variances of a street, whether or not you want to put, what is it called? Like garden or trees along the
tree line. Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Zoning issues, Board of Appeals, your local city, all of that is local. And you can see that directly. You can see directly whether or not your sheriffs are making sure your community has public safety as their number one priority. Car thefts and things like that. You can see that when you know who those people are. And if you have an issue, you can feel free to reach out to them because you know who they are.
And you need to, but also to that point, you need to do that before election day. So you have an idea of who these people are, what they've done in the past and what they said they're going to do.
Yeah.
So,
and some people don't always have a track record.
Yeah.
In that sense, if people wanted to know, like, hey, they want to vote for Chonya, they may not always get a clear cut. Oh, how she got involved in politics. I mean, I can go and create a website and say I did this, I served 10 million kids and all of that. But it's really going to be about you connecting with someone else that possibly know me, know my campaign. And so what we call it trusted voices in many communities. Who are the trusted voices in your community? For a long time, pastors were trusted voices. First lady in churches. You had your local mailman and postman. They were trusted voices. Your local police officers. I know they ain't feeling police officers now right now, but all of them ain't bad. But there are some bad apples in the bunch. And so you had these people, you had teachers who were trusted resources. You had librarians. And so now everyday people who have platforms like yours can be a trusted resource to say, I'm voting for Biden, and you putting out the information instead of telling people don't vote because there's no black plan or no plan for black people. You say, hey, I'm voting for these reasons. And here's the thing. The one thing, and I don't want to go on a tangent, but I have become dissatisfied with these people who are in other industries jumping on over into the political lane because they're not political, talking about there is not a black agenda. Well, you haven't gone to the person's website to see what the black agenda is. And not only that, if you have an idea in a black agenda, create your own damn agenda and you bring it to the table.
Yeah. Speaking of table, I responded to Uncle Luke yesterday on Twitter, formerly of 2 Live Crew. And he put out a post it went viral. And he was saying, he spoke directly to the Harris Biden campaign. And he said, if y'all don't come to Florida and meet with, he named about 6 artists, Trick Daddy, Rick Ross, Uncle Luke, everybody that's important to the hip hop culture that's from Florida, that's influential. He said, if you don't come meet with us, you can pretty much write off Florida. You're going to lose Florida. And I added them. I responded back and added everybody hoping he would see it. I normally don't do this. But I was like, oh, that's a valid point. But why don't you set the table, just like you said, and invite them? Like the position is valid. Sure. Those are people that if you want that young black vote, you got to get the people they identify with. Sure. But all this last minute talking that a lot, like you said, a lot of these entertainers are doing and just bluffing and selling wolf tickets. But if you don't do this, you're not going to get the black vote. If you can't identify tangibles, that might be a valid argument, but not less than 30 days out.
Right. And I tell people that about the census. We know the census happen every 10 years. And right when the census is about to happen, they talking about the dollars that went to media, black media. Like, don't y'all know this shit is going on every 10 years? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
like, you're waiting, you behind the 8 ball, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Like, or is that, I don't know. Anyway, because I can't use references, I don't know. But they are off base and they need somebody within their community, within their circle to tell them, pump your brakes. Let me show you how this is done. And still, when I train thousands of people to be advocates and ambassadors to their members of Congress or elected official, it's not humanly possible. If every rapper came out from their community and say, I want Biden or whoever the elected official to come to my district. That is why they have surrogates. That is why they have other trusted voices in the community who were district directors or regional directors or state directors to come and talk and carry the water and say, this is what we're going to do. It's not humanly possible. So for the rapper or the singer, can you go to everybody's house and thank them for the CD they bought from you? No. So don't expect that, unreasonably of your elected official. But there is a way in which I tell people you can get engaged. If for local and state and even Congress people, I have a plan called the 5-Minute Advocate. Okay. And I wrote a book about it. I say, I voted for you. I stood in line. You can ask them for a meeting. I only need 5 minutes. But guess what? When you have that damn 5 minutes, you need to have it from A to Z, what you want. But I also say you need to know what you want from A to Z. However, you need to stick to one issue. You got 5 minutes. So what's that central issue you want to talk about? Police, defunding the police, race and equity issues, reparations, housing, education. We be with all that talk in our community, but we're not putting together plans. So I'd be like, I'm done.
Yeah.
Y'all pulling me with that. Like, what's the plan? What do you want for your community?
And a way to flip that is if we brought 20 heavy hitters together, we got a whole hour of talk time. You know what I'm saying? Like, wait a minute, 20 times 5. You know what I'm saying? My math is bad, but we got a lot of talk time. So what's your opinion on these celebrity influencers being advocates or pushing advocacy? Do you think that that's a thing that could work, or is it a distraction?
Certainly. Nope. Here's the thing. If they on message,
okay,
it can work. You got to be on message. You got to know what the heck you're talking about. You have to go back and see. Here's the one thing, and I'm gonna get off this, but you invited me, so you want me to.
Hey, you on point. You running.
I'm giving it to you. Here's the thing. So when the campaign started, nobody wanted to really support Kamala. And I'm gonna tell my story. I grew up in New Orleans. You guys know New Orleans is hood. And I just wrote this down today because I was talking to a guy, and he said where he grew up at, they call it the rat hole. I say, well, damn. They call where I lived at the rat hole too, because I grew up in the middle of 2 projects where Lil Wayne and then Master P on each project. Calio and Melphamine.
Yeah, Melphamine. Yeah.
Melphamine. Calio is Master P.
Yeah.
Melphamine is Lil Wayne, right?
Yeah.
I grew up in the center of that, not in the projects, but my grandfather owned a home. And they call that community a rat hole. And my point of saying that is that people don't realize that when I was growing up in the 90s, I saw the boys on the corner. I knew they ain't have no summer jobs and all. They were selling drugs, right? They were doing everything they could to make a little money, to be on, it's Fleek now, but they were trying to stunt. Yeah. Right back in the day. So they were doing all of this stuff. And at that time, I was a young girl in school, and I was like, well, damn, can I get from A to Z without getting shot? Can I get from A to Z without somebody trying to touch my butt or, touch me inappropriately, right? I needed the criminal justice system and somebody to get them off the streets because they were impacting me in a way that I was like, well, is this all there is to New Orleans, to where I live? Is this all? Like, drugs, having babies. Like, seriously, that's what I was in the middle of.
Right.
So when they did the crime bill back in the 90s, everybody was for that.
Right.
And if you was directly impacted by, you definitely was for the crime bill. I went to college. I was able to skirt through all of the foolishness, but there were so many more whose dreams were deferred because of what they saw on the streets, because of the crime and the drug-infested community. Come on.
Yeah.
And that's just plain and simple. And that's why people have to understand, you cannot go after this woman or anyone in the legislature and talk about the crime bill. Now, what happened was these elected officials who we didn't elect, because we didn't show up to the poll to elect the person that really was going to represent us, twisted it. And then put real harsh, let's say stipulations on sentences and things like that. Well, we were the ones who were mostly in jail. So, of course, we were mostly impacted. So I tell people, get away from me with the crime bill stuff. They had to do that back in the 90s. And the other thing is, Kamala was a prosecutor. Now, anybody that's on their job, you right here doing this DJ and live studio, if you didn't come on here and do the job that people are paying you and supporting you to do, guess what, you'll be off air. If she's a prosecutor and she's supposed to prosecute people for the crimes that they committed, well, damn, that's what you're supposed to do. So you can't fault her for doing her job. It's just like a person who's in jail, not in jail, but the warden who have to pull a lever to execute somebody. Does he really want to do that? No, but that is his job. That's what he signed up to do.
So to that point, no, that's a great point. Because that's really the conversation that you're going to see all evening and up until the 4th is how a lot of Black people don't want to give her a pass for that. But it's also because they don't have the context that you just laid out. They're not willing to do the research and they're not interested in the facts associated. I remember there was one guy who the internet was going nuts over and they dropped his name and he did a whole video. He was like, no, I went to jail. She sent me to jail because I was selling dope. And I was out there shooting and destroying my community. But what I don't know is that she, maneuvered in such a way that I didn't get the max time that I could have got. So it's like, people, we don't take the time to do the research. And to that point, this will be the last question for you. When they go to the polls, because we opened up talking about voting, do you think it's lazy or productive for the people who have not been informed or have not done the research to go and tick one side of the ballot all the way down? Or is that an actual thing that could produce a successful outcome?
Here's the thing. We know that we've been in college, some of us, so you know that when you do a multiple choice, you got to pick something.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. You got to pick something. So you go for what you know. Many of us have been very conditioned into saying vote straight Democrat ticket. The Republican Party, they vote straight Republican ticket too. Yeah, right. Nothing's wrong with that. It's something wrong with it when it really counts. You want to make sure you're not, it really depends. It can be a sign of laziness, but baby, guess what? Get to the poll. We need that vote. We need that number. So if you don't want to really do your research, go ahead and vote straight Democrat ticket because we need them numbers. Okay? I'm just saying. That's what we need now in this season. Next season, it might be we need some independents because the Democrats ain't do shit.
Right.
It could be in 2-3 years, we'll be like, okay, let's switch this thing up and give us the Republicans again. It just totally depends on the person's preference. But I say, do not too many people bled and died for us to have the right to vote, for us to let it just fall by the wayside and not do anything about it. So I encourage and I implore with people, young people particularly, like we got to let them know that my vote has power.
Yeah.
And what does that mean? My vote is purpose driven. I'm voting because of a purpose. I have ownership in it. So I'm showing up. I'm doing a ballot party. I'm doing whatever I can. And at the end of the day, that W stands for want. I want my elected officials to listen to me. I want them to engage in my community. And then E is empower. Engage in the process. It's not enough. Okay. It's not enough for us to sit on the sidelines. Voting advocacy is not a one night stand. We know we don't like, I ain't going to even participate in a one night stand. But what I'm going to say is this, it's a relationship building process. That's why you got to engage in it. It's not like, oh my, I'm about to vote this one time and then you jump out and we're not seeing you for another 4 years. There are many other elections that are going on.
Yeah.
that you need to be engaged in as well. And so that's that. And then the R, what was my R? My R was, I don't know, run. It wasn't for Republican.
It's in the book. It's in your notes.
I know it's somewhere, but I can't remember. Y'all come up with your own power.
Yeah.
What it means, your vote is powerful, and you cannot allow these people to take it away. Okay?
There it is. You heard it there first.
Yeah.
Our very own political strategist, Chonya Marie Johnson.
Yeah.
Appreciate you. I love your energy. How can they get in contact with you to learn more about the 5-minute advocacy and the ballot parties?
Yeah, I say, hey, join me on Facebook under Chonya Marie. You can find me there, or you can find me under Chonya Speaks. This is my name. I'm probably one of few Chonyas in the world. So CHONYA Johnson.com is my website. But if you reach out to me and you're looking for more information, certainly feel free to drop me a message in my inbox and I'll be in touch.
And I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Next time I have you on, we break down the Electoral College.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
the powers that be don't want that system to go away just yet.
Yeah.
But somebody asked the question how we can get rid of the electoral, get engaged in the process.
Yeah.
Start little committees like across the country. There are census complete count committees because they're trying to ensure that communities all across the U.S. are being counted. Start electoral college committees. Why we don't need this system any longer. There's a reason why, because they wanted elected officials who are running for those top offices, particularly president, to make sure that they were going to all of the states and not just saying, let me go to the states with the large numbers, like Florida, Ohio, California. They wanted to make sure that they were inclusive of all the states. So there's a reason for it. Doesn't mean it needs to stay here forever, but we got to get involved and engaged in the process.
There we go. And remember, the first half of the debate tonight, you wear the Chucks, but the second half, you got to put the Timbs on. Got to put the Timbs on.
Why I got to put the Timbs on? You got to tell me.
That's her move. You ain't see her come down the airplane steps with the Timbs?
What else, Timberlands?
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to get both, and I'm going to post a picture, put on.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, I'll talk with you. Thanks for coming on.
All right, thank you for having me.
I don't care if it is a closet. You still looking mad official.